Patricia Allingham Carlson, and this is Two Irises, Part 1. Just for fun, try some plastic wrap pressed into your wet paint. You never know what you're going to get. For this part, I worked wet on wet watercolor, added some plastic wrap with a weight, and let it dry overnight. Next, I painted in two iris flower forms. I hope you enjoy this as much as I did painting it. Give it a thumbs up. Now let's paint. Mixing up some colors to start a new painting. This is going to be a painting with irises. I'm using different colors and different combinations of colors, including permanent rose and quin magenta. I'm trying some rose madder, and I'm mixing in some oranges to see what kind of color combinations. I wet down the paper with my spray bottle, and then I'm going to drop in these beautiful bright colors. Let them flow around. I've got something in mind to make some further textures on this project. I'm going to be adding some plastic wrap to create some crinkly textures within the floral forms. So at this point, I'm just loading in the color and getting a general shape. Irises are sort of a free-form flower. They can be painted very, very realistically with crisp lines, or they can be sort of floppy and go in their own direction, which is a fun approach to take, and that's what I'm doing here. I like how when the orange and the purple run together, it makes a beautiful mauve color. And I'm also using some yellow. Plastic wrap time. Scrunching the plastic wrap up, pressing it firmly to the paint with all the little folds on it. I reuse my plastic wrap. I sort of value the colors that it can sometimes add from past painting presses. And I like the way it adds. My good old Van Gogh book for some good heavy weight, as well as some inspiration of irises. And the next day it is dry. Pulling off the plastic wrap sort of feels like getting a gift. You never know what's going to be inside. Here you can see all the textures that were printed by that crinkled up plastic wrap. So what I do next is begin to outline a rough idea of how the forms and petals will fold and unfold. Trying to work within the printed colors that I did get from this plastic wrap press. I am looking at a gardening book with a picture of some pretty iris petals in it, just so I can get an idea of how the flower form goes together. And here I am working dry, blending my color with water as needed. So again, looking at a reference photo, I am outlining and giving myself an idea for how I want the flower to be shaped, including the interior of it and the outside petals. I also have to decide which iris will be going on top of the other because there's some overlap here. Of course, I put the outlines down and then I blend them in. One more point to be made is that irises sort of flop all over the place. And being exact is not that important, at least to me, in this style of painting. I can change the petals around, the folds around, to accommodate what I have already got printed on my paper. Still working on the first iris, I go back in and darken the areas that are recessed or in shadow. And I am using a mauve color paint here, softening the edges that I painted in because I don't want it outliney. And I'm looking at the very delicate veins in my floral reference so that I can try to capture some of that feeling here. I then begin the second iris to form how its petals will go together. By painting a dark next to a light, I show which petal is coming in front and which one is going back behind. Using the brush to outline the petal shapes and then filling in shadows. I'm trying to change the direction that the second iris is facing in, so they aren't two identical plants, but rather have a little variety. Starting a painting with plastic wrap sort of gives me a jumping off point. Since the forms are already there, then I have to just go back in and do some outlining and some fun painting. So I really do enjoy using the plastic wrap in this particular way. That was a fun way to start. I hope you enjoyed the 2 iris video. Also, hoping you'll subscribe and ring the bell to get notices for future videos that I post. In the description below, you'll find links to the materials I like to use, my Facebook art page, my blog, and art products that I make. Comments are a big help too. I'll see you next painting.